when you understand how the other people on your team are, it's a little bit easier to adapt. And I gave one example to a CEO one time, and they're like, it's just like you have somebody who's very direct and very project oriented, and maybe it's a project manager or something like that, or some kind of director, and they're just that kind of boom, 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 3 bullet point, tell me what you're going to tell me, and tell me what you told me, and get out type of person. Well, they walk into an office and they just vomit those 3 bullet points onto somebody, boom, 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 real quick, because that's what they are. They're in a hurry. That's just how they think. That's how they are.
Yeah.
That's just how they communicate. All right. It's not good, not bad. It's just how it is. But then the other person, they take it as, what did I do wrong? Oh my God, he's being mean to me. He's bullying me. And then what happens? I mean, you get in with this HR complaint and it ends up just getting bad. And for what? Just because that's the kind of person that, maybe you need to say, hey, how's the kids' ball game? How's the wife and kids? How's the husband? How's the family? How's what, just, and talk a little bit. What do you think about the game? And just kind of, prep the field a little bit, and just kind of just a few pleasantries to start the conversation. Oh, hey, by the way, I had these couple things I was wondering if you could help me with. Boom, boom, boom. And then leave it at that. So if you know that someone's like that, you can adapt. And kind of like I said, and you know that you're one way and I'm one way, we can at least meet each other in the middle.
That's right.
And not have to totally change our behavior, but have enough caring and empathy for somebody to want to meet them at least halfway where they're at.
Absolutely. It's kind of like illuminating the room. Everybody is aware, okay, we've got these differences and we're going to be able to communicate because of them. We've got these differences, they're positives, and at the same time, we're aware of them. So it's kind of like illuminating the room and allowing people to see the room as it is, see the people as they are. And as a result, people have an understanding and they're able to move on and communicate and get things done.
Right. And sometimes just the awareness for yourself, and wow, I didn't realize how I was coming across to other people.
Yes.
That's not what I intended. That's not my goal. That's not what I meant.
No.
But if I'm coming across that way, what can I do to adapt and change so I come across in a way that's not offensive or not, grating or abrasive to other people?
Right.
So that's a big one.
As we've mentioned before in this program, people don't leave companies. They leave people who they report to, their supervisors, their bosses. So again, this is back to the person that's in charge. When they're aware of how they conduct themselves and how they're able to communicate themselves to their team, they're going to just be that much better of a leader.
Exactly. I mean, this is where communication directly impacts your leadership and the engagement.
Absolutely.
I mean, and all of that just comes together, especially with something like this.
You betcha.
Once we really understand that part of it, and we go deep into that, and they can pick up these behavioral cues, the way people talk, ways to communicate, not communicate, which sometimes the way not to communicate is way more important than what to communicate with.
Great
they
point.
understand this and they start to get that. Then we start going into kind of the why behind people do what we do, and really looking at these driving forces. What really gets people out of bed in the morning? What drives them to operate or be the way they are? And I mean, we look at how we can identify and kind of appreciate this combination of factors that really create your individual driving forces, and understand and manage how the driving forces of others might affect you, might affect the position that they're in, might affect their team performance, and then be able to recognize and modify those, blending those forces, and put together some methods that'll, limit potential conflicts.
That's right. I like to look at these driving forces a little bit like carrots. How people want to strive for something, or what motivates them, what makes them want to reach that carrot. What is that carrot? That's what we're identifying with these motivators. For specifically, for people have specific motivators that are primary, that really motivate them. There's some that are in between that we call situational. Fact is that if we understand that about ourselves and the other people, now we can work together to create the solutions we need to create, understanding why each person wants to contribute to that solution.
Right, exactly. And it really comes down to, if you can have people in a position or give them tasks or jobs that really complement what drives them, instead of because if you have something that goes against that, they're only going to do that for a certain period of time. And there was a couple of examples that we had that we heard from different clients and different folks, and I wanted to throw a couple of examples on there. One, let's just say you had somebody who, on a continuum for one of these particular driving forces, you had on one end of the continuum they have to have the office has to be just so, and they got the feng shui going on. They got the little plants and the little, little fountain thing and the
Sure. Yeah.
pictures in the window and all that. And you put them in that type of environment, man, they're in their happy place. They are productive. They're good. They're good to go. And there's some people you could literally just give them a laptop, a couple of file cabinets, and a piece of plywood almost. And I mean, they have what they need to do the job. And as long as they have what they need to do the job, they don't. It doesn't have to be pretty. I got what I need. I'm happy and I'm good. Right.
Absolutely.
If you can really compartmentalize and go. Well, you take somebody who's that harmonious type of. They just got to have this type of environment. They interview for a job. They just amazing. They great performance. You end up hiring them in, and 6 months later, they're just a train wreck. Like what gives? Well, you took this person that needs that type of environment and stuck them in a cubicle.
That's right. Well, Dave, just to give you an example that one of my clients is working with, they had a person, she was in charge of a team of customer service representatives. Her job was to coordinate, make things happen the way they wanted it to happen. Big bullpen types area. That's what she could look up over her cubicle and see everybody and hear all the vibration, the sounds of what was going on. She loved that. She really liked that kind of environment. Well, of course, her office was facing all that. She had a nice window, which she really enjoyed, very harmonious type of individual. Well, they made changes in the organization. They realigned a few things. She was taken out of that position, put more into a sales coordination position, and they put her down the hall in a room with absolutely no windows. Now, you think she was a happy camper? Not on your life. Terrible blunder on the CEO's part that he didn't understand. He didn't know, and as a result, he created someone. Well, put it this way: the person was no longer as productive as they once were.
Yeah, and that's the problem. Sometimes people just, all right, I'm gonna punch the clock. I do what I got to do. I need the job, but I'm just not driven. I'm not motivated. I don't want to perform at my best because I'm like, this is you're just miserable, and you just kind of play the game and do what you got to do. So I mean, those things, knowing what drives people like that, and then when you realize in your team where those drivers are, you're like, wow, okay, now I understand why Joe does what he does. Now I understand why Brenda does what he does. I get it. That makes sense. And as the executive, you can really, like you said, play with the chess pieces and kind of get, okay, now where could we put people or rearrange some tasks to really capitalize on what they're best at and what they're just enthused and motivated about. And that goes back to the employee engagement. I mean, if you're giving people tasks that they're just jazzed about, I mean, of course they're going to be a lot more engaged than, like you said, your customer service rep that ended up going into the black hole there, with no windows and just in a job that just did not suit her well.
That's right. So the things we're talking about here don't cost the company anything, but they pay huge dividends. Just to be able to look at how they've got their team arranged and in terms of what they're required to do or what their job position allows them to do. If we just kind of take a close look at that, and that's something that we can uncover in this workshop for sure.
Oh, go ahead. Absolutely.